All right, so we're going to go over some of the questions from March 30th's Frindle for chapters 1 and 2. So Miss Williams did these first two questions, and then we're going to go over these. So this first question right here is asking, what is the meaning of the word monopoly as used on page 6? So I'm going to go back to page 6 where it says Frindle, and going to find the word monopoly. So I found it right here, and I'm going to read around it to find some context clues. It says, and there were 7 fifth-grade teachers, 2 math, 2 science, 2 social studies, but only 1 language arts teacher. In language arts, Mrs. Granger had a monopoly and a reputation. So we got to think about what monopoly could mean on this page. So I know many of you wanted to put that monopoly is a game, which it is, but there's a definition for monopoly, which we can figure out by looking at the sentence. So if you think about all the teachers in the school, there's 2 teachers for every subject, except 1 for language arts, and that was Mrs. Granger. So she had a monopoly. So this means that she was able to be the only teacher for language arts, and she was pretty much in charge of it. So if we look at our answers choices and we think that monopoly could mean in charge of, let's look at our answer choices right here. A says complete control. Complete control is almost the same thing as in charge of, so we can look at that as our best answer. B and C are both games, and then D means top hat. Well, none of these show that anyone has control over something except for A, so we can pick that as our best answer. Our next question is, why did Nick feel as if he had no particular use for a dictionary? So we got to go back and think about when we get to the dictionary. Miss Granger, we know, finds that very important. So after Miss Granger sent home the list that each child is expected to have a dictionary, we can see where it says Nick had no particular use for the dictionary. He liked words a lot and he was good at using them, but he figured that he just got all the words he needed just by reading, and he read all the time. And when he ran into a word he didn't know, he asked his brother or whoever was handy what it meant, and if they knew, they would tell him. So he didn't think he needed a dictionary because he could figure it out by reading, or he would just ask his brother or dad. So it didn't really, he felt like he didn't need one. So if we go back here, A says he could just ask a family member. Well, that's true because he says he could just ask his brother or his dad. So we can keep that in mind for that being the correct answer. B, he already knew all the words listed from 4th grade. Well, it never said that. It never says he studied the words, so we can't put that as a correct answer. C says he has already graduated from Lincoln Elementary. Well, we know that he's going to a new grade in elementary school. He's going to 5th grade. So we know he has not graduated yet. Graduation comes after 5th grade. And D, he was able to Google the answer on his tablet. Well, it never talks about him having a tablet, and it never even mentions Google. So our best answer for this would be A, he could just ask a family member. The next question is, what does the author compare where Miss Granger kept her favorite dictionary to? So we're thinking about why, or what is an object that can be comparable to how Miss Granger feels about her favorite dictionary. So we got to find where it talks about Mrs. Granger's favorite dictionary. So we know that she kept a set of 30 on a shelf in the back of the room, but her pride and joy, right here, was one of those huge dictionaries with every word in the universe in it, the kind of book it takes 2 kids to carry. It sat on its own little table at the front of her classroom, sort of like the altar at the front of a church. So they're comparing her personal dictionary to the big Bible that you would see at the front of a church, like the altar, a big wooden altar. And so only something important would go there. And so we see that Miss Granger thinks her dictionary is just as important, something that's really important for the front of the room that everyone can see. So if we look at our answers, we see A, the desk behind Nick's, B, the bookshelves in the room, C, the altar in the church, or D, the trophy case at the baseball stadium. And the only one of these answers that we can find directly from the text would be C, the altar in the church, which is found right there. So our best answer for this would be C. Pages 10 and 11. According to those pages, why does Miss Granger require each student to have an acceptable dictionary? So if we go back to page 10 and 11, This is where what Miss Granger sends home for why she expects dictionaries to be used at home. And remember, we're looking for why does she feel that that needs to happen. Every home is expected to have a good dictionary in it so that each student can do his or her homework properly. Good spelling and good grammar and good word skills are essential for every student. Clear thinking requires a command of the English language, and fifth grade is the ideal time for every girl and boy to acquire an expanded vocabulary. So, remember the questions asking us, why does she require each student to have an acceptable dictionary? It says, so that each student can do his or her homework properly. And so our best answer would be B, to properly complete homework. And the last question is, what is the meaning of the phrase battle cry as used on page 10? So if we go back to page 10, we're looking for the words battle cry. So as we scan the page, we can see that the word battle cry is right here on the third paragraph. And it says every graduate of Lincoln Elementary School for the past 35 years could remember standing at that table listening to Miss Granger's battle cry, look it up. That's why we have the dictionary. So it says every graduate of that elementary school remembers her saying this, which means that she must say it all the time. Look it up. That's why we have the dictionary. So a battle cry would be something that somebody says a lot. So the first answer choice is slogan. And if we think of what a slogan is, it's the kind of the catchphrase that somebody might use like an advertisement or a TV show. So that could work because it's something that someone says a lot. B, super. Well, that doesn't really fit the definition, something she says a lot. C, being upset. Or D, big tears. So our best answer here would be A, slogan, something she says all the time.